Oh, Stifle. Greetings, everyone. I am glad that you are here, and I am glad to be here. Today's jank is in Historic, and we are trying to take advantage of some white board sweepers and some black board sweepers. So if you happen to have some Doomskars in your collection, and probably happen to have some Meathook Massacres in your collection, who doesn't these days, right? Then you might have kind of the core of this deck. At the end of the day, folks, we are trying to take advantage of opposing aggro decks with having 8 main deck board sweepers, right? Being able to sweep things away. But you'll also notice, if you're looking here, holy crud, you have a million creatures as well. Who would deck a board sweeper with 22 main deck, or 8 board sweepers with 22 main deck creatures? Well, you know, maybe if you're a little crazy, like me. So, what is it about these creatures that makes us think that we should just be sweeping them away? A couple of very, very important things. First of all, Cursebound Witch, when it dies, draft card from Cursebound Witch's spellbook. There's quite a few really cool cards in here. You know, some of them are better than others, but some really cool stuff. You get a card when it dies, right? Faithful Disciple, 2/2 Vigilance for 2. When it dies, draft a card from Faithful Disciple's spellbook. And again, most of these are actually pretty good. A bunch of commons, a bunch of uncommons, but a bunch of rares and a couple of mythics. There's only just the one common in the entire spellbook. So the rest of them are all quite powerful. Admittedly, the Faithful Disciples does have some that are pretty situational. Anointed Procession, we're not doing a lot of token stuff. The Cathar's Crusade is actually really good. The Authority of the Consuls, by the time this is coming out and then dying later on, Authority of the Consuls probably a little less useful than it would be on, let's say, turn 1. But like Sigil the Empty Throne, you need other enchantments, which Faithful Disciple does provide. Things like that, right? There are several that are a little bit situational, but they're all very individually powerful. So we're pretty excited about that. Similarly, Ominous Traveler, when it enters the battlefield, we can draft a card. And then when we cast a card that was drafted with Ominous Traveler, we get to return Ominous Traveler to our hand, which means we can then do it again, and then do it again, theoretically, right? Just keep flooding our board. So kind of endless card advantage here. So, theoretically, of these, 11 creatures of our 22, so half of our creatures, we're already getting value. We already get we already get a card as soon as this dies. So yes, we lose a card in the exchange, but we also get one back, so it doesn't really hurt that bad. On top of that, we have a little more synergy yet, folks, and oh boy, I'm excited about this. First of all is Kaya, +1, put a ghost form counter on up to one target non-token creature. It gains. When this creature dies, or is put into exile, return it to its owner's hand and create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So we're gonna kill our own creatures, bring them back, or get 1/1s, bring them back to our hand, recast them, all the while getting additional cards we're drafting from the thing and everything like that. As if the Kaya wasn't enough, we have another card that you may have forgotten about being even on the client. I haven't seen it in a while. 4 mana, 3/4 flying. Whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. So, that's right. We have 7 different ways of being able to redraft cards out of these by either bringing them back to flying counters or putting them back into our hand and getting spirits, right? And stuff. So, the only other cards that don't really do those things are some other synergy style pieces. First of all, Skyclave Apparition is interaction, and we like being able to exile problematic non-land permanents. So just interacting with our opponent in that way. It's also nice to be able to keep bringing this back, right? If we have the Kaya out or the Mothra out and it dies, being able to have it come back, exile more things, right? Things like that. And then Woe Strider, similarly, is actually 2 creatures in 1. It comes with a 0/1 goat. You may sacrifice another creature, scry 1. So, if we have out the Mothra, let's say, and we have a Woe Strider in one of these, we can sacrifice a Cursebound Witch to get the drafting from the spellbook, and then bring it back, get a scry as well, and get some value there, right? But it's also true that of all these cards, once our cards go to the graveyard, they're there. We don't have ways of getting them back outside of a couple of Davriel Soul Broker or offers. But for the most part, they're just going to go there. So we don't really mind exiling our bin to Woe Strider either. So just being able to bring this back from the bring this back from the graveyard, taking advantage of the graveyard as a resource without relying on it, because there is quite a bit of graveyard hate out there these days. And finally, the only card we haven't really talked about here is the Davriel itself. This is one of those decks we are actually also trying to take advantage of Davriel's abilities as well. Davriel's got a little bit of some weird synergy issues where some of the offers don't really synergize with some of the other offers, where some of them are like reanimating things, but you don't really want to be in a creature deck so much. But then other ones are giving your creatures +2/+0, but you don't necessarily want to be in a creature deck. You know, some of that sort of tension. So with this one, we do get to play a little bit of a controlling game plan. Again, 8 main deck board sweepers, some other interactive pieces as well, because you can draft Banishing Lights from Faithful Disciples, things like that. But you also, you know, if we do have all your creatures get +2/+0 or something like that, then yeah, you know, these suddenly are very, very real creatures. The 1/1 becomes 3/1s. You know, all these different cards we can draft are now suddenly like 4/2s and things like that. You know, a very, very real ability to take advantage of Davriel Soul Broker, which of course you guys know I really like. So, without further ado, let's see if we can win some games. All right, folks, here we are up against Nick. Good luck, Nick. And yeah, you know, we can hang out of this. A couple of Cursebound Witches, an Ominous Traveler, Kaya for the synergies. Okay. Oh, crud. Our opponent on modular stuff. Oh, no. Probably a Tempered Steel style situation. So board sweeper is typically pretty good in this matchup, but we don't have any in hand. So, you know, we will need to do some of that. Oh, well, okay. So here's the thing. I know this is going to seem a little strange, but I think we're going to go ahead and Ominous Traveler instead of Foretell, because interesting. These are very interesting cards. I think we're going to go with Tovolar, because we want our opponent to commit more to the board. They want to get really aggressive typically with this style deck, so they want to commit to the board. We just want to allow them to do that. Okay, yep, they are now empty-handed. Okay. Do we cast out the Tovolar, or just plan on sweeping it all away? All right, we're gonna do this. I think the Ominous Traveler is gonna die here, but the Tovolar can draw us cards, right? Which is always nice. Okay. Yes. This. All right, we drop to 19. Going to get to draft a card. And it will be... I wouldn't say these are great options, given the context of the current situation, but I actually think we might go with the Cauldron Familiar, because we have more Cursebound Witches. We could even get a, you know, a Witch's Oven or something like that, you know? Yep. Okay. Hope a Gurper goes away. We cannot cast non-creature spells. We're not worried about our life total right now, so I think we're just going to cast the Cauldron Familiar. Go ahead and pass the turn right back. Opponent likely going to animate the face of saving. Yeah, I was going to say, there's almost... If it was specifically the card Tempered Steel, you know, we would take a lot of damage, but we still wouldn't be in that big of trouble, because the face of savings are not artifacts, right? So, you know. It is kind of tempting here, folks, to go for the Meathook Massacre, but our opponent knows about the Doomskar. There's very little question in our opponent's mind that this is going to be Doomskar, right? They don't know about the Meathook Massacre, so they might still continue to run everything out, right? Blinkmoth Nexus, okay. Well, I mean, we're not particularly thrilled about that one. Yeah, no attacks. Or, I mean, no blocks. This is fine. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I don't mind if I do on that. Kaya the Inexorable. This is looking pretty bad for our opponent now. They have literally one card in hand. There's a reasonable possibility this card is just a land. And we are now ticking up the Kaya. They can pressure Kaya with Blinkmoth Nexus. It's true. But they can't take loyalty away. She just keeps ticking up, right? Okay, well, the second Blinkmoth Nexus is helpful for them. There's no question about that. Still, yeah, I was going to say, still pretty difficult to overcome, especially given the context of what they already know. What they didn't know was we were going to be able to get a Tovolar down next turn. They would not be able to kill Kaya, right? We were going to be able to get a Tovolar down. If they attacked with the Faceless Havens, we just get to block with Cursebound Witch and stymie their Blinkmoth Nexus attacks. We were then going to be able to get down Tovolar, tick up on Tovolar. If it ever dies, we get more spirits. Things were well out of hand for Nick Nick, I think. So GG, Nick Nick, GG. All right, folks, here we are up against what I believe to be one of our viewers, Unbreakable Wit. Let's see if we can get some mileage against our good friend, Unbreakable Wit. We will see. All right. Sweet sleeves. I don't know that I've ever seen these sleeves before, actually. This does look like vampire stuff going on in the background. So I assume that's from... you know, one of the Innistrad sets, probably the most recent one. All right, well, Hollow Storm Giants, not exactly the kind of start we typically want to see. This deck doesn't have a lot of cards that matter in counterspelly style matchups, right? But, well, you draw another Faithful Disciple, that's kind of nice. And we're going to get it for 2. Sure enough, I guess we'll play around the Force Spike effect. They could have drawn a Censor or something like that. They did have 2 mana available last turn and chose to do nothing with it. So I don't think it's a worry, but it would also be embarrassing to run into that style effect and then be sitting on our land, you know? All right. Couple of damage goes in at 14. All right, well, they are likely to counterspell this if they have such a thing. Yep, it does happen. But we have a backup. In this case, I think I would rather have... Okay. Hey, all these things are good. All right, folks, we're doing it. Yeah, and I think we're going to do this as well. This is likely to interact favorably with whatever our opponent is up to over there. We do want to land this turn, please. An untapped land, specifically. There are a couple of tapped lands in there, Bojuka Bogs, right? No. All right, that's sad. Fine. Davriel, Soul Broker. Come on down. Pact of Negation? Wow, okay. Lotus Field, okay. Sacrificing those. Clearly not a conventional blue-white control style shell. There's definitely something else going on here. Let's see. I guess the Stromkirk Blood Thief seems good. And Falconwrath Pitfighter, perhaps? Okay. The activated ability here, unlikely to matter, since we don't have red mana. But, you know. Oh, crud. Hardcast Shark Typhoon. That's not great. If they have another Pact Negation, we are up the creek without a paddle here. But Vanishing Light. Hey! Yes! Sign me up. Then let's go ahead and attack for our 2. Cast Falconwrath Pitfighter. And turn that. Unbreakable Wit on 15. We have 3 power on board. Really sad we've been missing land drops here. Strict Proctor. Okay. Into Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
Right on schedule.
Okay. Yeah, going to tuck our Banishing Light. Not surprising there. No, folks. No. Okay. Well, this is fine. So let's go ahead and attack. That's a fairy. Yep. Strict Proctor going to kill our Falconwrath Pitfighter. Maybe. Does so. Alright. Well, we're going to go ahead, exile the graveyard. We do want to do that, right? No, actually, I don't think we do. Let's go ahead and Ominous Traveler and get that trigger to happen. Yes. This, not so bad. Another Stromkirk Blood Thief doesn't seem too bad here. Tossing around some 1/1 counters. Narset, Part of Reveals, whiffs. Oh my goodness. Alright, well. Let's see. I don't like any of these options, honestly. Not a great set of options for us right now. I think we need to Kaya the Inexorable, get rid of Shark Typhoon. If that gets countered, though, that is likely the game. We're going to try. Missing those land drops. Yeah, this is what we were afraid of. Okay. Missing those land drops has been absolutely backbreaking here.
Keep an open mind.
We do have the Banishing Light to back it up, but yeah, I was going to say, with the Narset activation, they're also likely to just be able to have a counterspell, right? Which they do. Unbreakable Wit gets in with a couple of sharks at our face. Yep. It happens. Yeah, all this stinks, folks. So I guess we're going to Banishing Light. Unbreakable Wit is going to counter it. Make a 3/3. We're going to Foretell and Pray. Because we are in a very, very bad spot. For sure. Yep. Team gets in. Sure. Okay. We're going after Narset. Settle the Wreckage. That's actually fantastic for us. Yes, please. Holy cow. Thank you. We are very pleased about that. So, Doomskar. Faithful Disciple. We do still have to find a way to get rid of the Shark Typhoon, because that is going to kill us. But we do have other ways of getting rid of it, right? One of them is Faithful Disciple, just blocking here. Yep. And finding us another Banishing Light. That would be great. Please. Oh, Stifle! Wow, okay. Then... that is... inconvenient. All right. Davriel Soul Broker. Go up. Stromkirk Blood Thief. Come on down. All right. Yeah, we have... the Skyclave Apparitions won't get rid of the Shark Typhoons. But we do have more Kayas. We do have more Faithful Disciple. Alright, so let's go down, find some offers and conditions. I mean, I guess. Not particularly thrilled about those things. But it is fine. So, combat. Go after Gideon. No trade. Just a chump. Okay. Well, then I guess we're going to... X equals 3. Yeah. Gain a couple of life, back up to 5. Ominous Traveler. We need to find a 2-drop here. Okay. Templar would be really nice. Really wish we could do that, but we can't. So, just Vampire Socialite. Yeah. Now, Gideon and a Hall of Storm Giants can both attack. We have to block the Hall of Storm Giants, but we're not dead yet, right? And Blue-White typically doesn't have a lot of reach. So, if there's a bounce spell or something, we're pretty dead. Okay. Yeah. These things are fine. Sure enough, they all come at our face. Not surprising. We drop to 1. Another life is taken. Alright, we lose a couple of cards from the top of our library. Nothing important, though. Holy crud, folks. We got the Castle Ardenvale. And we have the Divine Visitation. Alright, well, Davriel's Soul Broker. We do this. Can we chump? No, okay. So we need to do this. Get a... Heron Blessed Geist? Heron Blessed Geist. And Stromkirk Blood Chief. Pass the turn. Unbreakable Wit. Still in the driver's seat here. We've got to block everybody. Oh, no! Let's skip to the good part. Inconvenient. That Teferi is likely going to slam the door here. Yeah. She has practiced against many foes. Okay. Gideon. Preventing damage from our Heron Blessed Geist. Alright. And going to untap 4 mana. A couple of cards get exiled. A couple of lands. We didn't want those anyway. So if we do this, can we make a 4/4? We can. Alright, well. I guess we're going to Davriel. And Divine Visitation. Alright. Turn. Getting past here. I think we are dead, actually. Unless, if Unbreakable Wit holds on to their card for the turn. So that they can discard, we're dead. Oh, Archmage's Charm, that's not good. Yeah. Close, folks. But unfortunately, no cigar. Gideon gets activated. Hall of Storm Giants gets activated. We make a 4/4, but that's not good enough. And we die. Yeah. Yeah. Inconvenient. So block, block, block. Die. GG, Unbreakable Wit. GG. Alright, folks. We are up against Squirrel. Good luck, Squirrel. And yeah. Running into this. We're on the play with the 2-lander. Plenty of times you don't get to play Magic when that stuff happens, but oh well. We're going to shock in a Godless Shrine for Cursebound Witch. One that has Llanowar Elves. Do you think they're going to block? Yeah, I didn't think so either. Faithful Disciple, going to make an appearance. Opponent has another land, an Elite, or an Elvish Warmaster coming down. Woo-wee. Well, these things are inconvenient, but it is fine. The question is what to do about it. All right, next, let's attack with Faithful Disciple. Opponent double blocks the Faithful Disciple? What? Okay. I guess. Angelic Exaltation sounds good. We're just gonna go ahead and pass. I assume our opponent was thinking, you know, some kind of board sweeper situation, but we didn't do it. Hey, this is a good one, folks. This is a good one. So then now, Torment of Scarabs. Going to actually put a clock on our opponent and make it so they kind of have to do something eventually. I assume this is just going to be, yeah, a collected company. But, oh my goodness, that's a bit of a whiff. They still get 1,000,000 bodies, so if they have a Lord, we're not in great shape, you know? It doesn't seem likely that they kill us this turn, though admittedly not impossible. Okay, no Lord. Probably just another collected company. Hey, thank heavens. We really didn't want to Meathook Massacre for just X equals 2. As it is, they probably have another collected company. If they get 2 Lords, they could save their board. But it seems pretty unlikely to risk your Lord, or risk a collected company when you might not hit that many Lords, right? So opponent goes down to 13, casts an Imperious Perfect, and an Allosaurus Shepherd. Yes. All right, these things are not unexpected. Yeah, folks, I think we're just going to go ahead, not get too tricky here. Just going to kill that Imperious Perfect. And yeah, sure enough, that is good enough for Squirrel. Good game. Squirrel, good game. All right, folks, here we are up against Link Diddy. And yeah, I mean, okay. We can try this. Opponent starts with a Swamp untapped. We are going to go with a Shattered Sanctum tapped. Pass turn right on back. Oh boy. Thieves Guild Enforcer going to start milling us over. Sends a land and a Meathook Massacre away. Alright, folks. It's Rogues. Alright. We take 1 down to 19. Sure. Well, we're just going to go ahead and run out Faithful Disciple without hesitating. Drown Catacombs. And the opponent going to Fatal Push our Faithful Disciple. What do we get? Authority of the Consuls? Yeah, I think that's a good one. Alright, and Glint Sleeve Siphoner gets another energy. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm particularly thrilled about this. We're expecting it to get counterspelled. Oh boy, it doesn't. Okay, well, we're just going to snap off exiling Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Our opponent immediately kills it, gets a 2/2, so the amount of power they attack with is actually the same. But they can't cash in for cards now, and that part is the most important part for sure. Let's see. All these things are awkward right now. We could shock in for Davriel. Just tick up, I guess. We don't have a second black source unless we shock, which I'm not thrilled about shocking when we're up against a deck like this, but yeah, I think this is fine. All right, Davriel's Soul Broker goes up. 5 loyalty. Opponent going to attack it. Does. Now has to discard. Kind of nice being able to tax their resources somewhat. It's a Watery Grave going to the bin. Davriel drops to 2 loyalty. They immediately pass the turn. Yeah, we're worried that our opponent's just going to have more counter magic here, you know? So, that part, not particularly great, but Authority of the Consuls. And Skyclave Apparition. Need that Thieves Guild Enforcer. Yeah, see, we were expecting maybe some counter magic and stuff. Our opponent has not shown us that. Just more kill spells. Okay. We gain a life. Our opponent gets a Hive of the Eye Tyrant down. That's annoying. All right, Luris does come down tapped. We gain a life. No value here, but our opponent is going to go ahead and attack. They have to discard their Crippling Fear. We're going to let Davriel take one. Have Cursebound Witch die. And yeah, it's going to be a cruel reality because we're already on 6 mana. I was going to say, as soon as we draw a little more mana, that could be good enough. But I think this is going to be good enough, right? Our opponent very well might scoop. Yeah, I was going to say, the Davriel ticking up is sneaky good here. It's true. Next turn, our opponent would be able to attack our Davriel with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. In order to do that, whatever card they drew, they have to discard again, right? So it's still a 1-for-1. We're still at 13, right? They know all the creatures they cast will enter tapped. They know we've already got Castle Ardenvale. We have onboard presence. It was looking really tough for Link Diddy, for sure. Especially considering they're an aggro deck at heart, right? But either way, good game, Link Diddy. All right, folks, we are back, and yeah, the deck was fun. I ended up playing 8 games. I went 4 wins, 4 losses, so it did fine. Admittedly, the deck we kind of targeted to, you know, go against would be one of two. We really kind of wanted to go against like either mono red style things or really aggressive things. So elves, you know, goblins, that sort of thing, you know. We saw elves one time. So we did win. But on the whole, we also had a little bit of awkwardness where we wanted, you know, where we ended up against like Jeskai control. That did not go well. Admittedly, we put up a really good fight, but was not able to bring it home. They flashed back, or they got to cast 4 or 5 magma opuses that game when you count flashing them back and everything. We ended up playing against a blue-white control Ing style deck. Not like there was definitely some sweet stuff going on there for sure. So it was not generic, but again, a lot of our cards don't really do anything in that style matchup. We want to be taxing the opponent's creatures and stuff, and that, so they really don't do a lot there, you know. So a little bit of that, and then we also had a couple of spots of mana issues. So on the whole, I think we got a little bit unlucky in kind of our losses, which is kind of, you know, that's kind of the way losses work, right? So I'm not discounting them by any means, but just saying, I don't know, we would need a larger sample size to know if this is a good enough deck to compete. Normally, like when I get a few games in, you really get a feel for, oh yeah, this is doing exactly what we want. And honestly, I kind of had a little bit of that feeling, but the results didn't exactly line up either. So it felt good, but you know, we weren't exactly crushing it. We went 4-4, right? Which isn't horrible by any means, but it's also not really exciting either, right? So as far as things we might change, it's a great question. We didn't really get to see, Mothra brought no one back, which is another one of those things where I feel like this is, you know, maybe we didn't have enough games to actually see it do what we were supposed to have it do, because the card, we didn't see it very often. We saw it like whatever, once or twice maybe, and it was immediately removed on the spot. So I don't know, a little strange that it turned out that way. It is also relevant that Meathook Massacre also felt slow. So, you know, Doomskar often ends up being a 3-drop. Meathook Massacre will regularly be a 4-drop. And because you foretell this, then you cast it for 3. X equals 1 just doesn't do much very often, right? So it's often either a 3-drop, or I mean a 4-drop or a 5-drop even. And it felt a little slow since we didn't have a lot of sacrifice synergies. It's quite possible this is just better, you know, maybe as a 1-of, because having the enchantment is nice when that happens. It also gains some life back, things like that. But there were a number of different situations where I was like, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't mind sweeping the board here, but I'm not sure Meathook Massacre is going to get the job done. So I think it's quite possible, folks, that we do this and maybe go with like 3 Wrath of God or something. Well, technically speaking, folks, if you have Wrath of Gods and Day of Judgments, you should split them. They have the same text, since there aren't any regenerating creatures in Historic. It's literally just the same exact card, but there are some things your opponent could have, very, very edge cases, where it's like, name a card, you can take all those cards out of their hand, or something like that. So, since I have both, I should do that. If you had 3 Wrath of God, but no Day of Judgment, don't feel bad about that. Do the thing, right? No, that's fine. As far as other things you might do, I don't know. Again, we didn't get to see the Woe Striders. They didn't. I'm not sure I resolved a single Woe Strider in the 8 games. I would have to go back and watch the footage to even remember. They at least didn't do what I wanted them to do. I can say that without equivocation in the games we played. So what does that mean for them? I don't know. It's strongly possible, folks. What we want instead of Woe Strider is perhaps, since we're going to have so many board sweepers anyway, we forget about sacrificing. Maybe go down to 1 of these to have it for the possibility of escape or escaping, and go with like a Midnight Reaper, or something like that. So go like, I don't know, 2 Midnight Reaper and a Woe Strider or something. Because again, having 1 of these to escape doesn't seem bad, but just having the ability to draw cards when we're sweeping our own stuff away might just simply be accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish better. Right? It would also help ease our mana troubles a little bit. Like I say, we ran into a couple of situations where we had mana troubles. The one was a 2-lander on the play, so what do? You know? Kept it, didn't draw any lands, died. We've all been there. So I hate to, I'm not going to judge the deck based on the fact that that's what happens in Magic sometimes, when it easily might have been my fault as well for not mulliganing. Maybe I was just supposed to mulligan, right? Beyond that, though, I think the deck did pretty okay, and it was definitely a lot of fun. Holy crud. You basically always had a full hand because of the Cursebound Witches, Faithful Disciples, Ominous Traveler things, just giving constant value. So that part felt really good. It also was a little, you know, it was relevant that it was slower, but having these others come out, like, I think that might actually make a big difference. So, you know, if you folks do build this, definitely let me know how it turns out, and I will catch you all next time.